Today, we are diving into the wisdom of the body, healing through movement, and what it truly means to come home to yourself. I'm joined by Allison Pagano, founder of Embodied Dance, dancer, somatic practitioner, teacher, and transformational guide whose work blends over 25 years of experience in dance, healing arts, movement, and embodiment practices. Through her work, Allison helps people reconnect with the intelligence of the body, uncover patterns held beneath the surface, and move toward healing, authenticity, and personal transformation. In a world that often teaches us to disconnect from ourselves, Allison's work asks a powerful question. What if the body already holds the answers we've been searching for? This conversation explores movement as medicine, healing beyond words, reclaiming your voice through body, and what becomes possible when we stop performing life and start embodying it. Please welcome Allison Pagano. Hi, I am your host, Lyanette Talley, and you are listening to Virago 24/7. Virago is Latin for female warrior, and 24/7 is for all day, every day. Virago 24/7 is a weekly podcast that brings diverse women together to talk about life and our experiences in this world. We share our views on self-love, mental health, marriage, children, friendships, and really anything that needs to be talked about. Here, you will find everyday growth, everyday healing with everyday warriors. All right, so today we have Allison Pagano. You're all the way in Australia.
I am.
That's so cool.
I'm originally from New Jersey. But
New Jersey.
Here, yes.
How long have you been there?
I've been here almost going on 3 years now.
Okay.
I did part of my undergraduate studies here in the late 90s when I was studying cultural anthropology. And I had a pocket of students in my dance teacher training that were in Australia. And I came over to do a retreat in early 2023, and I met my now husband.
Oh, wow.
So that's how that all worked out.
That is so cool. How cool is that? How are you liking Australia?
Oh, I feel just incredibly blessed when I wake up in the morning because
Yeah.
the quality of life in the nature is so nourishing, so different from where where I'm from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right here. It's not noisy. It's not busy. It's like quiet. People walk around town without shoes on because they have to, but because they want to.
That is so cool. My husband, so he was in the Navy back in the 90s and he was stationed in Japan, but one of their when they had time off, they would go travel, and Australia was one of them. And he said it was like the coolest place ever. Like that was his favorite place to visit while he was over there.
Well, if you ever make it over here, I live about 20 minutes north of Byron Bay, so it's really truly paradise.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived a lot of places in the world, and it's just peaceful here. I live across the street from the river. The beach is empty, beautiful. Like it's kind of unbelievable. I mean, granted, we're going into winter. Winter is like 50 degrees, so it's like
that is so awesome.
I can handle that.
That is so awesome. I crave, now that I'm getting older, I'm craving peace and quiet. And like where I live, it is so much traffic. So I am north of Atlanta, like 30 minutes north of Atlanta in the suburbs. And it's just lots of people. People. A lot of noise. My husband and I just got away this weekend. We went up literally an hour north of us is the mountains. And it feels like you've driven like 5 hours. And so we went for the weekend and I'm like, this is what I need. So we're just trying to get these kids out of the house so that I can regroup and like live how you're living.
Yeah. Well, how many years do you have before they're?
Well, the youngest is about to turn 16 in a few weeks. The oldest is 25. And then our son just graduated like last week. So he just graduated high school. So we're almost there. We're almost there.
Wow. And that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, Allison. So you are on here because you have a business, a company, a service. It's called Embodied Dance. And what I was reading, it's that it's movement. It's dancing, obviously, because that's part of the name. And what I was reading on your website, it's that you use dance and movement to heal, to bring awareness to our bodies, to transform us. So tell me like what your services are and what you do.
Sure, sure. So, my main thing that I offer at this moment is I lead a global dance teacher training using dance as a healing art because I felt that the most fulfilling and deepest calling part of what I want to say, my greater mission is that I've been listening to it now, is to support women in their leadership. Women who have something inside of them that feels like they know that they're meant to work with others. They know that they're meant to come back to more sentience, to more feeling, to more gnosis, and to lead from that feminine embodiment. Who quite don't fit into most of the paradigms we see out there. They're not the boss bitch or the over sexualized thing that, women do to get attention. But how do you actually find your power from the truth of who you are, from the truth of what you're sourcing to, and to be that sense of holding and connection, not only for yourself and for others, because as we can look around, it's kind of like all hands on deck right now. Things have been hard, and they're continuing to get more and more strange and unusual on a global level. So I feel like that's what I'm being called to do is really support women in their leadership. However, I also work with women one-on-one. I also work and teach programs that support people to process emotions through their bodies so that they can clear their limiting beliefs, clear the stagnancy, clear the cycles of sometimes trauma and drama that we don't even know that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And my background has been unique, which is why I've developed this the way that I have, because I had parallel tracks of professional dance training, a lot of somatic training, coupled with healing arts and doing hands-on healing and very spiritual work. So a little bit different than the two paradigms of either kind of straight dance therapy or professional dance. And I would say even dance therapy, in my opinion, it's a little bit farther removed from the spiritual side. So this is a deeper sense of really coming home to yourself, inside your body, befriending who you are, finding your peace in the world, and being able to share that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
It feels very utopian. A lot of work.
How did you get to this point? Like, did something big happen or just happen gradually through the years? How did you get here?
Yeah, so there was a big moment, and I talk about it probably in a lot of different ways. But I was actually here in the late 90s, like I mentioned, and I was doing my undergraduate degree in cultural anthropology, and I was here in Australia, and I was moving through a massive eating disorder, and I was completely shut down, locked inside myself, had very little connection to feeling. I was basically numb, stranger in my own body. And I had signed up for this amazing class called Spiritual Wellbeing, which I thought was really strange for the late 90s because it wasn't like today. It was kind of like, what is that? And there was an amazing Indigenous or First Nations woman who was teaching this class, and she was just a powerhouse, and she could hold space for all of it. And what I ultimately ended up doing was having a space to really process a lot of the unconscious wounding and pain that I was holding in my body. That had me feel so shut down. So it was through using my body and using this sense of what I was learning from her, what I was learning about the energy systems, what I was learning about meditation, what I was learning about how to connect. And I brought that to my own healing process because basically I hit a ceiling where I said, I think I'm done just hating life and hating my body and hating whatever this is. And I don't know why I'm like this, but I think I'm kind of done. And nutritionists aren't helping. And I don't really see anybody who's got the answer to this. So I'm going to have to figure it out. So I just really used that time as an opportunity, and it really shifted things for me, and it really worked. I ended up performing something for the class, which ended up being, the expression of what I had delved into for those months. And there was something about being seen in this kind of raw, upside down, topsy-turvy exploration that gave me a sense of self-acceptance and safety in my body as well. It was like, okay, I can own this. this is mine. It belongs to me. I can be with this. And I slowly started learning how to eat again after that. It was a gradual process, but I started just saying, like, I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
this is going to, this is going to serve me. And then I spent the next 20, 25 years gathering tools, gathering skills, all in somatics and healing, and really understanding why people heal, why people don't. And just working with the body, learning from all these different teachers, and ultimately coming back to that original way of working in the late 90s of um, being able to connect with what was true in the body and move it, give it an expression, give it a voice, give it a process,
Mm-hmm.
and also choose a new empowerment, choose how I want to move. So I realized that there was a deep way of being able to do these things that not only I could do, but I could teach other people. That it wasn't just something that I was meant to do and, okay, now Allison's better, great. But it's like, this can help people.
Mm-hmm.
There's something here. There's something that I can really serve. So that's how all that came about.
So say I signed up, like, what does that look like? How do you, I'm assuming because you're in Australia, everything is online and I'm sure you have people there, but so what does that look like for me if I were to sign up for your course?
Yeah, sure. So if I'm working with you one-on-one, basically what I would be asking you about is what it is that you are moving through, concerned about, needing. Where are you in your life? What is coming up for you? What's got your attention? What are you transitioning through? What's hard for you to understand? And we would kind of get to the grit of what it is that's really maybe holding you back or making you, maybe you've got a chronic issue, illness or something, or you're going through a divorce or whatever it is. There's something that's happening when people usually come to me. They feel like they're kind of crossing a bridge and they don't know how to get to the other side. So what we do is we inquire about where those different thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are living inside the body. And we do that just by simply learning how to feel more, learning how to connect with what's present and what's here. And it seems really simple, but we were never really taught to value feeling, to value being with what's true. We were taught like feeling is something that you do if you're weak, or being sensitive is something that people do when they've got problems, right? But we've never understood it as a superpower. So, what I'm really helping people to do initially is just to come back into feeling and self trust. So, I'm dialoguing with them around what can they notice? What's here? What do they feel? And through a series of inquiries, I'm just guiding them back to what they already sense and know. So basically just holding a mirror more or less and giving them the safety to say, all of you is welcome. You don't have to hide anything. And that thing that you feel like nobody can handle, it's okay here. And just giving them space for that. So then what we do is we see what's activated in the body. Well, now that I'm talking about it, I can feel my right shoulder just getting really tense. And it's like, okay, well, that's where this is kind of being held. How does that need to move to express? So there's, I'm really simplifying it, but there's a lot of different inquiries and ways that we find where in the body we're really holding these muscular contractions or tensions or feelings that are perhaps tied usually to something in the past, usually tied to something that happened in childhood. We're giving that emotion or we're giving that space an opportunity to really be seen, witnessed, processed. And then on the other side of it, choosing. So now that that's been seen and processed and witnessed, what do you really want now?
Yeah.
Now that you can have more, what would that look like? And then being able to dance and move that. So there's a little rewiring or a lot of rewiring of the nervous system and also rewiring, I want to say, of the neural pathways in the brain. Because what I've noticed is that over the last couple decades, even working with other teachers, it was something about when the mind, the emotions, and the physical body all come into saying the same thing, you can have an amazing recovery, a miracle, something that completely is unexpected. It's because of these different parts of us are often saying different things, and we're often not unified in what's really happening. When we bring all of our parts into an alignment, that's when there is healing. That's what I've noticed.
I love that you're saying that. I've had a few guests in the past few months, and I feel like you all are saying you have different ways of doing it, but you're all saying the same thing of us being aligned, like our spiritual, our physical, our emotional coming together and being like one. And so it's just interesting, like talking to different people that come on, that it's all the same that we're looking for. There's just different ways of doing it and going about that. So one of the questions, so when you were talking about the tensions in our body, where do women, because I know a lot of people always say, like, for women, we hold a lot of tension in our shoulders and blah, blah, blah. So what emotions do you think women suppress the most? And like, where does it show up in their body, or is it different depending on the person?
Well, there's a couple of different things. This is a great question. I love this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it with the people you've interviewed. But what I've noticed for myself, I'm also, just to be, transparent, becoming also a perimenopausal woman, you kind of like, your emotions start shifting in different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. But as a massage therapist, what I always noticed was women shoulder blades, typically. Shoulders, trapezius, rhomboids behind, shoulders, shoulder blades, neck. In body language, that would be control, feeling lack of control. Also feeling what I call weight of the world syndrome, the shoulds. And usually not being met emotionally and feeling like they have to do it all themselves. So if I was going to look at it from a body language, psychosomatic point of view, it's normally those things. Men always, not always, but typically lower back support, not knowing how to support other people or getting support themselves. That's normally, and the heart, so shoulder blades. So those were the things that I noticed. But in terms of emotional qualities, the thing that's been very interesting is women have a shit ton of rage.
That is true.
A shit ton of rage. And we, most of the time, have never been able to touch it. It's not welcome. People tell us it's bad to feel angry. And there is righteous anger. I feel like it comes a point in time when you really need to touch the things that have really created pain and problems, and really be able to say, that wasn't right and I'm angry, and to let yourself feel it. Because when you don't feel it, you become prisoner of it somehow, and it just stays locked in there, and you just keep smiling, but you're building up walls and walls of resentment. And the resentment is ultimately cutting you off from life force, from relationships. And it's, again, not to make anybody bad or wrong. I was a person who also carried around a lot of anger until I started really saying, you know what, it's okay for me to meet this, even if my family doesn't think it's acceptable, even if, I've never heard that it's okay to do this. I'm going to take out the punching bag because I've got something, I've got something I'm really feeling. And it's like, I don't want to keep it circulating in here. So I feel like rage and anger are doorways also, because underneath that, and my first mentor always said that to me, underneath the rage is always grief, is always the sadness. So we can't often touch the fullness of the grief, usually, depending on the situation, what the trauma is, unless we've really let ourselves be angry about it. And it's not that we stay angry. It's not that we walk around and we're just letting ourselves, break people down, but just accepting that I feel angry and I'm actually going to take a run. I'm going to put on a piece of music and just, rip into it in whatever way I need to. And letting your body really process through what's true. And I feel like the more that we allow ourselves just to say, this is true for me and it's okay, the more that we bring self-acceptance to other people. So it's a really beautiful practice of growing empathy and growing compassion as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
No, I just love how you're giving, not that you're the authority or anything, but you're allowing women to give themselves permission to feel. And based on things that I've read, because I'm an angry person, and I've had to learn And maybe it wasn't always justified or always good. And so I had to learn not to always revert to that emotion. But when I do feel it, I'm trying to give myself permission just to sit in it, because a lot of the times I feel like growing up, it was looked down upon. Like I was the angry child, or the one that caused a lot of problems. And it's because I didn't feel like I could really speak my mind. And if I did, it always came out in anger because I stuffed it and stuffed it and stuffed it. So I like that you just are you're giving that woman permission to release that.
Up until like a year or so ago, I'm even telling my father, like, I'm really angry about this. And he's like, you don't be angry. I think generationally, just sort of like what they were told. People were just trying to cope and get by. So they didn't let the big emotions come in because there was just too much to get done. There was too much to do. And it was like, no, we got to keep going.
Yep. Get over it. Keep it moving. Yeah.
So we're the first healing generation, I say. We're the first ones who are like, okay, this generational trauma, I'm going to dive into that. I'm going to hold that. I'm going to look at that. And, we're starting to really give permission, not only for ourselves, like you're saying, but also the younger generation, which, they've got a lot to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
Coming into the world. They didn't get to grow up in the 80s and the 90s, where life was a little bit more carefree.
Yes. How old are you anyways?
I'm 48.
Okay. So we're similar. So I'm 46. So we're close in age. So yes, the 80s and 90s were lots of fun. It was a lot more freedom for sure. I don't know. It's one of those things where that part of things was good, but like the family life wasn't always the best because of what you're saying, because of the emotional stuff that had to be stuffed down. So, there's give and take for our generation.
Dissonance if I think from any highly sensitive person, it was like you could feel the dissonance between what people are saying and what's actually happening.
Yes.
I think that created a lot of misunderstanding. People didn't talk about communication back then. People didn't talk about most things. And I think that was the hard part, is that nobody talked about it. Yeah, we're flipping the script in these times.
I love it. Why? Because you earlier said something about allowing ourselves to trust ourselves through the movement. Why do you think a lot of women, why do you think we don't trust ourselves?
And it's similar to what I was sharing earlier. It's just, it hasn't been encouraged or supported on any level. Anything, we've been encouraged to be more like men. It's like, get it done. Don't feel. I don't think that we've ever really truly allow for the feminine gifts of feeling and gnosis to be valued, period. Maybe up until now. And I feel such a strong calling to hold that for women. And I just want to say all people, because we have a masculine and a feminine inside all of us. And I think that suppression of the feminine has not only been just women, it's also been men. Right? But when you disconnect from feeling, you disconnect from all that information. There's waves of information that are constantly coming in that are meant to direct and protect you. But we have not been taught to listen, to feel, to be quiet. And to, if anything, nobody's even, that idea of trusting what you feel. I've healed a lot. I mean, when I say healed, I've held space for a lot of people to do their healing over the last couple of decades. And none of it has been about science. And let me tell you, they are changed and it's lasting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I had the right brand of chemistry or chemicals or white papers, that could figure it out. So, there's something very basic in what we need around this. And I think once it becomes a practice, just like eating well, it's something that you have for life.
Yeah.
It's something that you say, well, this actually gets me into my aliveness. This actually is creating better relationships. This is helping me be better in my work. This is helping me be better with my kids. And because you can see almost the immediate benefit of what that does, you know that it's inherently valuable and that we've been completely misdirected and lied to, because there's an incredible amount of power in it. And we all know on some level, that having the masses be in power is not necessarily, over the course of history, what any people who are in some types of government or political or whatever religious even want for us,
Yeah.
right? They don't want us in our power. They want us obedient, my opinion. And it's historical, you can kind of see. So, yeah, it feels like a big, it feels like it's an evolution and a revolutionary thing to do. It's just feeling
Yeah.
and trusting it.
I've come a long way. Like, I wasn't always this way, but you get to a point, like you said earlier, like you're just tired of being a certain way. And like, it's like, I cannot continue this way. I have to learn how to communicate. I have to learn how to figure out these emotions and these feelings and how to move through this world differently.
So that's what the work that I do typically is go, okay, where did that belief system come in that you couldn't do that? Let's hold that through it. And when they're ready, they can. Yeah. I would love to hear, a little bit. I'm sure you've shared it probably on other podcasts as well, but some of the things that you had to come to in order to feel like, okay, this is okay for me to do.
I think for me, like, I feel like my childhood wasn't, I don't think it wasn't stable. We moved a lot. My parents were divorced. My dad remarried, and then having to be, kind of thrown into this new family. There was never, like you said, that generation didn't really like sit down and talk to you like, this is what's going to happen. It just happened, and you have to just learn to just love it. And if you don't love it, something's wrong with you. And so it created a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, because it was a blended family. So stepmom had kids, my dad had kids, they had one together, and they did not do the best job in bringing us together. And so anyways, there's a lot of turmoil. And then when my dad passed away back in 2013, and it was one of those things where it's like, shit, now, like, all that turmoil and all the arguing and the kind of strained relationship, I can't fix that. Like, he's gone. And that was a turning point for me.
Wow.
I don't know why I get so emotional still about it, but I had to realize I don't show up the way I need to. I can't blame everybody. Like, I have to figure out a way for me to show up differently. And so that's where it started. Sorry.
Please don't be sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's so great feelings. We're talking about feelings. So I think allowing ourselves, and I let myself cry all the way. I'm like, if I feel sad, I just place my hand on my heart and tears roll.
It's been so long that sometimes I can talk about it and no tears, but sometimes I get like, that was the catalyst of like, shit, like, once they're gone, they're gone. And so let me figure out with the relationships that I have, let me figure out a way. Now, some of them, if I'm going to be honest, like the one with my stepmom, once my dad passed away, it's just like, I can't even do this anymore. The only reason I was trying is because of him. And there was no change on her. Like, there was just no change. It could be me. It could be her. I'm not trying to blame anybody, but it was more of let's figure out the people that belong in my life, the ones that are there. Let's figure out a way to communicate better, not get so worked up about things, not get so angry with my kids over small things. And and then starting this podcast, I wanted more women to feel like heard. Like, this is okay. Like what you're saying, it's okay to have these emotions. It's okay to be pissed off at the past. But now what do we do? Like, let's not live there. Let's like move forward and do something different.
And the feeling, I feel like, gives so much information, because it's also like a bit of a guidance, like, what actually makes me sad about this? And if I can touch what actually makes me sad, then I can kind of get where my body and my soul and spirit is really guiding me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm really sad that this happened, didn't happen, wasn't. Now what? But I think always just being what I call compassionately curious. And to like go into the layers of it without feeling like you can't get out. Just to say, I'm just going to be curious about this, not make myself wrong or bad about it, but like, if I was really curious, why do I feel so? What? Information, interesting. It's just, Yeah, it becomes that sense of guidance. And I love that you shared that so much. Thank you.
Oh, and I have talked about it a lot and I have cried a lot on this podcast every time I touch on that because I feel like when something breaks open within you, like when something opens up, you see things differently. And you kind of remember where it started. You get emotional because you see how far you've come from that moment. So it's happy tears. It is happy tears.
Years ago, so that was quite a long time.
It was a long time.
To grow into these new ways that you're holding yourself, that you're holding your family, that you're holding people when they come to connect with you, to see, and, side note, there's probably still pain there in the little girl, just like for everybody's little girl, right? That's where all the pain is.
Have you had anybody come in that just surprised you, like their transformation just surprised you? Do you get to go along that journey with them, or do you just kind of guide them and let them go? Or do you walk with them through the whole process?
I'm with them through the process. When I'm working with people, it's usually for several months at a time. We sometimes don't meet every week, but I would say most people surprise me because for the simple truth that Allison's mind is not guiding the process. It's really a collaboration between souls, between spirit, between their trauma and what I'm holding for them. And there's almost nothing I can predict about it because I've had people that have come to me with extensive trauma, things that I'm like, I don't know that I'm qualified to hold that. I'm not a therapist, so I've always made sure that people were working with a therapist on the side as we were in processes together because I'm not, clinical psychologist. However, that being said, I have seen people rise through things that have been quite miraculous, always because they were ready and because they trusted themselves, the process, perhaps me enough to really go there. And that was the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy. I can speak of something in particular if you're interested. But
I would love that. Yeah. If you have something in particular.
I'll kind of name two different people here. The first one was someone who was quite young, and she had come to me as a dance student. She was in my dance classes, and then she ended up hiring me. She was just maybe almost 20. Incredible amounts of childhood trauma, was cutting herself at the time, which I didn't even know until we started working together. And, she was working with another therapist. And it was rough. It was a very rough go. There was a lot of moments where, we couldn't work. There were certain days where it's like, okay, we got to stop here. There was a lot because nobody had ever really been there with her or for her before. So what ended up ultimately happening over, I think, about 4 or 5 months, perhaps, going on and off meeting with her, is that she really made a full transition of, I think it's okay to be me. I think I'm safe now. And not only that, like, I like who I am. And for me to see her comfortable with herself, confident, and just in a place of not feeling shut down, or that she, has to kind of like, mask this sort of pain by injuring herself.
Yeah.
And she stopped cutting herself. She just kind of, and it's not, again, I'm not a miracle worker. It's really about people when they're ready to say, okay, it's enough. And even, I would say last week, a woman working with locally here, extraordinary woman, had healed herself from, even before she met me, she healed herself from, she had broke her spine in 6 places. She,
Oh, wow.
a tree or whatever, broke her spine. The doctors told her she wouldn't walk, all of that. Didn't listen, went about healing herself. And then she came, we've been working together in embodied dance processes over the last couple months, and she came in and she's like, I can't walk today. That place in my spine is really inflamed. It's really this, it's really that. And I said, okay, let's see what's there. So through a guided process, what came out of that was the belief that she wasn't safe to express herself in a certain way. And it was something that happened when she was 3 years old that we connected it back to. And I did a whole process with her, movement, healing, etc. And not just, again, this is going to sound crazy, but she actually got up and she walked out and she's like, I think I feel okay now.
No
I
way.
don't have the pain anymore. And the thing is, again, it's not me, and it's not even I can't say I know what it is except for, God, but just really creating the space for more source or God to get in and that person to really receive that there is something for them. I've seen it with myself where I've had strange things and it's always been emotionally, psychosomatically connected. I couldn't lift my arm. I was in massage therapy school. I couldn't lift my arm and I had so much pain. I went to chiropractors. I went to, physical therapy. I went to all these people. Nobody could help me. And I was learning about Chinese medicine in massage therapy school. This is in 2001. I was like, they taught us in Chinese medicine that if you have a problem with the back, you work the front. If you have a problem with this, you work that. It was always the opposite. So I was like, what's on the opposite side of this pain? Because it was behind my shoulder. And I said, my heart. And I let myself cry really hard, probably for about 10 minutes. And I was just bawling my eyes out. And then I stopped crying and I was like, pain's gone. It's really informed the way that I work because I'm not saying that we deserve or that it's our response, like, if we get a terminal illness, like, oh, it's our fault or I'm blaming myself, like none of that. It's just to be curious and say, well, God, what are the things that this is connected to? I can actually do something out or what do I have control over? Because you don't have control over a lot, but we do have control over asking questions and feeling and processing. And I do believe if something is meant and ready to change and shift and heal, it absolutely can and will.
Yeah, I believe in that. When you were talking about the young girl, I went through that with my oldest. We went through that. She graduated a year and a half ago, so she just turned 25 in March, and we were going through similar things where now it's like you said, like she's found her confidence, like she's trusting herself, she's sure of herself, but she had to be ready. And I had to get to a point where, because I want to fix, like, what can we do? What needs to happen? And just realizing that everyone has their journey and everyone has their path that God has set before them. That is only theirs, that only He's trying to tell them something, teach them something, whatever the case may be. And once I let go of that and just sat with it, just let her go through the process and don't make it worse by inserting yourself, like things started to shift for sure. And there's a lot of angry moments though. Like I make it sound so, it was, now we're here, but it was very, very, very hard. And there's a lot of crying, a lot of anger.
Getting trenches of it. There's a lot of snotty crying.
Yes.
And feeling is not meant to look pretty. Who gives a shit, right? This whole idea that we're supposed to be perfect and know everything and present this beautiful image of things, it's all fake. Sustain or support or help anyone. Just be real.
Yes.
I wish that there was a whole... I wish that was something that was more acceptable. Children, it's like, we were just given this idea, even... social media today, it's all about image, image management. Guess what? Those people are miserable. You want to find inner peace? Feel your feeling. Yeah. You're not going to do it with the right lipstick.
No, feeling the feelings is tough. Like a few weeks ago, actually, nobody knows this. You're the first to know, besides my husband and my kids. I've gotten to a place where, I have time, I get away and I sit still by myself, but I needed to get away. Like I need to remove myself from this house. I need to go somewhere. And so that's what I did. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, but I need to be by myself. And while I was gone, I went up north because that's where the closest is, where I can it's trees and woods and yeah, it's really awesome up here. It's where I went is called Dahlonega, but it's the Blue Ridge Mountain. Yeah, so I went up there and that's what I did. I let myself cry. I was angry. I was hurt by some things that had happened. And I just went through all the emotions and I literally rode whatever emotion I was feeling, I'd let it happen. And by the end of the weekend, I'm like, okay, I'm okay now. And I talked to my husband about it and let him know what I was feeling. And then it was just, I was like, okay, I should do this more often. I shouldn't wait for myself to get like a full on meltdown or this breaking point. I should just acknowledge it when it's happening instead of like you're tough, you're strong, you're strong. You can do this. Like, you've been through harder things. Like, this is a lot of the times I tell myself, this is not that serious. And it may not be that serious, but it's serious for me right now. And so I try to trivialize, like, oh, don't get angry about that, or don't be sad about that. And it's like day-to-day stuff, you know, that I try to just like to stuff, because I have a good life, and look at this, and like, what's there to be upset about? And that's the kind of stuff that I think a lot of us as women tell ourselves, like, it could be worse, or, you know, it's not so bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of that's true. But we've never been taught the importance of processing emotion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I want to say, in terms of dance, that's what I made dance be for me, even if I wasn't taught that. I mean, I'm a classical, I did ballet, I'm a modern dance teacher. I've done the whole professional track. I've got my master's in dance. And I always went to dance class, not from what the teacher was saying, but to process my feeling and to put it in the movement. And people would be like, oh, you're such a good dancer. And I'm like, I'm just feeling.
I love that.
I started dancing much later in life.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have like the world's best technique, but I use dance as a feeling, you know, as a way to process. I didn't do it almost like I knew what I was doing, but it's just like, it's just became that place for me. And I think a lot of people who are really good performers have that capacity, but they're often not taught to do that by their teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It's something they just decide, like, this is a safe place for me to move this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a safe place for me to feel this. And I don't even have to talk to anybody about what I'm doing. I can just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always tell my college kids, because I used to teach, I was a professor at a couple colleges in New York, and I'd be like, you as a performer to get a job is going to be much more about what you're connected to in the moment, whether, far over whether or not you can do 2 or 3 or 4 turns. If people can feel you and they can get a sense of what you're connected to, you're going to get the job. More important than anything else. So that was kind of what I, really supported them in and tried to bring home. Because dance in the field itself is so, as you can imagine, technically perfection.
Mm-hmm.
Whole other conversation, but yeah.
So my youngest, she does ballet, and she's been doing also figure skating. So she just started. Yeah. I mean, she just started I think it's been about 2 years now, not knowing anything how to skate. She did not know how to stand on ice skates, and now she's competing. And that's one of the things that technically she's where she's supposed to be, but the emotion behind it is lacking. You know, that's where she gets the points taken away. And the ones that get higher points, you can feel them on the ice. You can feel I don't know if they're technically, I mean, I don't know anything about ice skating. I don't know if they're doing it correctly, but like, I can feel them. And so is that something can be taught, or okay.
It's absolutely, and it's not really necessarily a taught. It's, whoever's working with her. And maybe she needs
she's about to transition. Yeah, she's about to transition coaches, actually.
So if she can find a coach that actually, a couple of things, sees her, she really isn't just trying to make her into something, but was like, whatever her name is, like, I see you, a human being, and who you are and what you're doing, number one. Baseline important that most people aren't doing.
Yeah.
See her for who she is. Give her the safety to go there. And say, what would it be like if you took this piece and you let yourself imagine like what happened at school yesterday, and you just brought that in there.
I like
just
that.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Like no pressure. No pressure around any of it. Like, what if you just let yourself, like, what's been happening for you in life lately? What are you sad about? What are you happy about? What if you brought that into our training today? Or what if you let yourself like think about that as you're doing this movement? How does that change this movement? Notice. And I'm going to say a lot of people aren't, coaches and people. I mean, there are some really good ones, but
I like that.
But that's really the key to it, is just having someone who sees her and someone who gives her the safety to explore out of curiosity without forcing an outcome, because the whole reason they get stressed as tension is because they're trying to force this outcome. Actually, in order to do that, they feel like they got to leave everything else at the door. So it's like, no, don't leave it at the door. Bring it in. Just be curious about it, and let's like kind of see, like stumble through it a little. This is practice.
So let's talk about one of the things that I've been kind of trying to figure out, fear versus intuition. Like, do you ever get into like intuition and fear? Are they the same?
Absolutely.
Like, what voice are we listening to?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is really great. Thank you for asking this. It is something, again, baseline human stuff that we should kind of have been taught to figure out or feel even in kindergarten, right? Because it's like something like that's just is so helpful. Fear is something that I notice that often will just bring people to like immediate worry, stress, anxiety, tension, worst case scenario type thing. Whereas intuition and what I want to call like God given gnosis is sort of neutral. And something that can really help people that also I talk about a bit is understanding how information comes to you because we have, five main senses. Of course, there's more. But when you understand like some of what your predominant senses are, that's normally the way intuition is going to come to you as well. So for people who are more kinesthetic, for example, are going to feel something in their body when they walk into a room. If somebody's more visual, they might notice something out of place or see a color or a pattern or something. People who are more auditorily driven might hear something. They might put on the radio to put on something and like there's something is said that they needed to hear. I mean, we all have a mix of those different senses, but I think we have stronger ones. So it can be good, I think, to understand how information really lands for us the most. I'm predominantly kinesthetic. Like you can show me something, I'm never going to remember. Or even I'm also very auditory, but I'm visual, which is funny because I'm a dancer and a performer, but very much feeling and auditory. So I don't see things. Like if I'm working on a client and I've been doing healing work, I don't see. Like I have teachers who see, they see all these different things. I just can feel it and I can name it. For me, it comes through almost like I know things the way I know my first name. And even when I get information that I don't like, it still comes in super neutral.
Okay.
So I actually have a little tool around this that I'm happy to share.
Please.
So this was taught to me years ago by a guy very much into the shamanistic world. He was a former military guy who turned shaman. Anyway, there was a whole thing that happened in our relationship where I was on a hike with him. I almost died. There's a whole story there, but this is the guy that taught me this first tool. And I think a lot of other teachers teach this as well. I call it a basic yes-no response. And it's through the body. So what you do is you make sure you're hydrated. You get yourself into a comfortable meditative place by connecting to your body, connecting to gravity. Gravity is very helpful for people just to feel safe. So it's like, what can you feel? What can you sense? Okay, I can feel like I'm seated on the chair. I can feel my feet. Noticing the breath, noticing what it's doing. Maybe just taking some time to notice that everything in the room is okay. In this moment, you are safe and well, giving the nervous system a chance to kind of soften a bit. So, spending a few moments doing that, depending on how activated you might be from wherever you're coming from. It's a great thing to do lying in the bed in the morning or before you go to sleep at night. So what you basically do is once you feel like you've kind of come into a state of calm, is you connect with the body and you just kind of, like, thanks, body. Like, thank you for being here and doing all that you do. And thank you for, just being with me. Thank you for all that is here right now. And you just come into a relationship by acknowledging, like, I have a body and I can feel, which just sounds like really basic and silly simple. But I think most of us are kind of living from the neck up. It's just like, I have a body and I can feel, right? So coming into awareness, like, okay, I can feel the clothes on my skin, like I can feel my belly's a little gurgly from that drink or whatever, right? Just kind of noticing, just kind of becoming into relationship with some of those things. Spending a few moments doing that. Over time, you won't even have to do those first two steps because you'll just get much quicker with it. But I'm talking as if I would be talking to somebody who's not familiar with just feeling. So just bringing those two things into play. Once you get into a relationship with more of feeling your own body, you say, okay, body, please show me, what does the yes response feel like? Most of the time, it's going to feel light. It's going to feel like an upward rise of energy, or you'll notice something expanding, like your heart, or there'll be some part of your body that starts to get more relaxed, more expanded, more light, usually. So you just sit there with it. Okay, body, take a nice breath with it. Please show me a yes response. And like immediately from my heart to my forehead, I feel this like upward light. And it might feel slightly different time to time, but it's always going to be light and expansive somewhere in some kind. Okay, great, thanks. So I go neutral or clear. Thanks, body. Neutral, clear. Body, please show me a no response. Immediately, I can feel my throat tighten. Body, please show me a no response, right? So you just sit, and the first thing that you get, trust it, even if it's faint. Like, oh, I could feel like my stomach tighten a little bit. Oh, I could feel like all of a sudden, like my pelvis feels really heavy. Whatever. Notice the first thing. Okay, great. Neutral, clear. And then you can kind of play and test it a little bit, right? Like, oh, my favorite food is this, and see, like, can you notice the light or the heavy or the expansion or the contraction? Saying something that's not true, like, oh, I should move to the desert, see what your body does. Like, you can start to feel, oh, yes, no. Test it with kind of safe to fail things that you don't have an emotional attachment to. Kind of practice it. And then once you get bold and a little courageous, you start asking it things that maybe you're a little afraid to know the answer of. Or things that you're at, maybe there's a little bit more weight to it. Like, is it really a good idea if I take this job right now? Is it really a good idea if I stay in a relationship with this person? For my highest and best, is it for the highest and best of all concerned? Usually that's the question I'll ask. Is it for the highest and best of all concerned if I pursue this path? Is it the highest and best for all concerned if I offer that advice? And it's just listening, and you start to build this trust that over time you can just, without asking the body, you'll have a conversation with someone, they'll be talking to you, and you'll feel the tightening. You'll feel whatever, an expansion happen. And it's your body giving you that information. This is for you. This is not for you.
Yeah.
So super basic, easy thing to do. It takes practice.
I like it. I'm going to start trying to do that. It's one of those things that so I think it was 2023. Yeah, I think it was 2023. I went to Arizona for the first time, and I went with a friend to like a wellness retreat. And my very first meditation class, like there was a lot of classes that we can sign up for. And my friend's like, we're going to wake up. We're going to go to the meditation class. I'm like, I do not want to wake up at 6 in the morning to go to a 7:00 class to meditate. That sounds horrible. She's like, no, we're going. I said, fine. It was the most emotional experience. It was an hour long. And I thought, there's no way my brain is going to shut off. And there's no way I'm going to be able to sit there and be one with my body. But gosh damn, I sat there, I got emotional, I cried like a baby. Like whatever she did just like pulled all this stuff out of me. So on my own throughout the years, I'm trying to meditate and I'm trying to be more in tune with my body. I started doing yoga. I did CrossFit for over 13, 14 years. Just gave it up last year. And I'm like, I just want more meditation, more yoga. I couldn't stand yoga, but I'm appreciating how it makes my body feel, how I'm more in tune with it, how I listen to it better. So what you're saying, I resonate with, because that's what I'm trying to do moving forward, is to like be more aligned with what is my body telling me.
Your yoga class is a great time to ask some of those questions.
Really? Okay.
Already in there. Oh yeah.
Okay.
You've done the legwork.
Oh, I think a lot of times as women, we don't know if our intuition is telling us the truth, or some people will tell us, well, that's wrong to feel that way, or that's not your intuition. That's just your emotions or whatever.
It can be it's a really great topic. And for any person, it's going to take practice and self-trust. We've been taught to listen to the mind above all things. And people are walking around with a ton of anxiety and fear that they haven't processed, that are about a lot of other things that have nothing to do with that particular situation. So the thing that, I'm sure you've had a lot of people talk about in terms of traumas or even things of that nature, is just to understand what's being activated. And is what's being activated in terms of my emotion, is it bigger than what's actually happening here? Because if it is, it's probably about something that happened in the past. It's like, okay, this person didn't call me back. And I'm like rageful. And it's like, well, am I really mad about that person? If I actually sit with my feeling and I place my hand on my heart, I'm actually really mad that I feel disrespected. Like,
Yeah.
period. Like, if you let yourself actually meet the thing that's being asked to be met, is like, okay, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The doorway to feeling becomes more of a clearer channel, because when we haven't done much emotional processing, it's going to be muddied with a lot of stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And that's where intuition gets tricky, because when we have those old worries that our younger self had about being safe, belonging, being a lot of things, right? When those places are not, or they haven't even been touched before, you're going to be in a landmine.
Yeah.
But coming back just simply to the process of feeling, acknowledging what you feel, acknowledging what's here, and is what I'm currently noticing or experiencing a match to this situation, or is it about something bigger? Most of the time, younger self.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm on the journey just as much as anyone. I don't claim to have done all the work and be perfect. Like, this is what I do when I notice like stuff coming up for me. I'm like, oh, well, he said that, and now I'm really feeling this. What's that really about? Meet it with compassionate curiosity. Oh, there's a part of me that feels that because of this. Great, I can work with that.
This is off topic, but talking about how you like, I'm learning to process things and ask questions. Do you ever get like tired? I always ask God, I'm like, when do I stop asking questions? Or is this going to be like this for the rest of my life? And it's empowering in one sense, but in another sense, it's exhausting, because there's people walking through this world that don't even have the ability to do anything that we're talking about. So when you see other people just kind of floating through life, just oblivious, I'm like, oh, I wish I could be like, I'm like, I don't really wish to be like that, but it's kind of frustrating where it's like, this takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of work, and it could be exhausting to be so in tune.
Different for the healer.
Okay. Okay.
I'll put you in that category. I'm just meeting you, but I just kind of feel from you and from what you're called to do. When we have, when we're the person in the family who has taken on a soul level, the bigger work, we have a harder job that a lot of people don't have, but we get a bigger reward too, I want to say, on a lot of levels, because we get that incredible aliveness, and we also get such a deeper relationship with God. We get we get peace. And it doesn't mean that, it's better or we're better. It has nothing to do that, but it means that there was something about our soul that said, I'm going to walk through the fire down there. There's something in you that's equipped to do it. And what I notice is it comes in waves, is that it's not always, it's like you'll go through something that really kicks your butt. And then it's like, okay, then you've got a season where things are kind of a little softer. But yeah, I asked my mentor that the same class. She's now in her 80s. I was like, Kara, does it ever end? She's like,
no. I knew that. I knew it. I knew you were going to say no. I knew it in my heart.
And her work was, she worked as a healer and an artist her whole life as well. And she's like, but it just becomes different. It's like, it's not as heavy. Still have questions. You still think through things and process them and move through them. It's just not, it's not the heavy lifting. Sometimes you'll have extra heavy lifting, but when you do a lot of the deeper childhood work, you've kind of at that point done a good portion of it.
Well, I was hoping for a different answer, but I'll take it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, the good thing is that, I think everybody's journey is so incredibly unique. And the thing that can support us, if I can leave with anything the most, is the deeper that we listen, the less hard it gets. So the more that we stay in touch with what I'm going to call, the human level of whatever Trinity, God, heart, and earth, the more that we stay connected as a human to those three things and listen, the easier it gets. And I think it's when stuff is coming at us and we choose to go like that it stays hard. I'm speaking from thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about, I'm not thinking about anything in particular, but my own life and experience. When I go no, or I disconnect, that's what shit's hard. When I stay connected, it's not perfect. But it is perfect on some level. Like, it's not always easy, but it's always perfect. There'll be the things that come in and that come out, but I'll listen and ask, and I'll be connected more. Spirit, earth, heart. I'll always know what to do. I'll
Yeah.
always go, okay, this is really difficult and I'm like crumbling right now, but I can hold it and feel it. And I know that it's going to be okay. And it's, when those times where I say, oh, there's all these red flags, but I'm choosing to do this anyway. It's hard. I'm not going to lie. Like I've made a lot of choices that were really harmful for me.
Mm-hmm. It is very powerful to be connected, because even when I get a message that is kind of like going back to me going out of town, what really happened is I got in a big fight with my husband, and him and I are like best friends. We click on so many levels, but something happened. And it was ugly. And I was like, I'm already holding on to some other stuff, and this just did not help. But one of the things that I did is, like connect and ask and pray, and I did all the things. And on that last day, I was like, I'm just going to be here all weekend by myself. And when I get home, I'll just get home whenever I want to get home. And sitting still and asking for wisdom. I feel like God allowed me to go through my emotions. I was angry. I was sad. I cried. But then on that last day, he's like, okay, now you gotta reconcile, and you gotta be a big girl, and you gotta talk about this. And since we're only an hour away, he's like, invite your husband so that you guys can have a good talk away from the kids, away from the house. And so I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invite him here. I'm not ready. And so I was like, fine. And I gave him the address of where I was. And he's like, I'll be there. Like, I'll be there in an hour. And he got there and we talked. But it was one of those things where God doesn't always give you the answer that you want to hear. But it's like you said, it's the perfect one. It's the perfect one for you. And sometimes we just have to do the hard things and keep it moving, because he knows what's best. So
because I can tell you're spiritual in that regard as well, but that changed my life, just being able to invite back in the presence and the holding of God in my life, like such a big thing. And I think it's the thing that people can learn how to do. Be in relationship with your creator. Just be in relationship. You don't have to follow, laws and facts and figures. Just connect and talk.
Yes, that's the truth.
That would be the main thing that I would say in terms of taking healing to the next level. Physical healing on one level can happen in that way, but I feel like true, lasting, miraculous healing always involves God.
Yeah. Well, I love that, Allison. I can continue to talk to you for forever. Like, really, this was a really, really great, insightful conversation. Where can we find you? What's a good website for you?
Sure. So I share a majority of things of my content and such. I want to say Instagram is my place where I'm the most. It's embodied.dance. My website, which talks more about the leadership training and embodied dance teachers, is embodied-dance. But if you go to the Instagram page, you'll see all the links that have other programs that I've offered. We talked about rage. I work with women around sacred rage as well, processing all their rage through the body, through dance. So I have a couple of different offerings that people can pop into if they're curious and they want to start working with their body. And learning how to trust again, learning how to be in their own authority, in their own feeling, and letting that be the leading force versus the outside. What we're being told, which isn't always good for us and isn't always true. So how do we know the difference? That's what I really, want to leave people with, is how do you become your own inner authority in a way that no matter what's coming at you, you are sourced to your own information and wisdom, and you trust it and can move from that.
That's beautiful. And I'll make sure to share all of your information. I thank you so much, Allison. Like, really, this was really, really good. And thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad it all worked out.
Yes, it did.
It's been so fantastic to connect with you as well. Much love.
Thanks, Allison. Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too. I'll leave you with this. This is what we call the gut feeling theory. It says, your body senses the truth before your mind does. That tightness, restlessness, or unease isn't random. It's a signal. We often ignore it out of fear or doubt, but your peace is your proof. Trust the whisper before it turns into a scream. Thank you so much for listening to Virago 24/7. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and please give us 5-star ratings. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Virago24_7 and on Facebook at Virago24/7. And just connect with us and share your story. We'd love to hear from you.